After 2 years of effort between the Payette Forest Coalition and the Forest ID team, the Lost Creek-Boulder Creek Record of Decision was challenged, first with objections and then with a formal complaint filed in district court. There are 3 plaintiffs on the complaint. The court proceedings will go into 2016, but in the interim, what can the coalition and the forest learn about the issues raised by the 3 plaintiffs? Field trips helped the coalition in developing the original recommendations for the Lost Creek-Boulder Creek project. So let's try using a field trip format to help understand the issues and general trends that are raised in the challenge to the record of decision. This is the agenda for the field trip, an orientation to the project area. Stop number 1 deals with designated critical habitat for an endangered species, bull trout. Stop 2 addresses forest access and the minimum road system. Stop 3, we will discuss vegetation management and historical fire regimes. And then we'll have a debriefing. What have we learned from these 3 stops as a method to review the challenge? The Payette is host to one of 23 CFLRP landscapes across the country. These are priority landscapes for large-scale restoration. The forest itself is 2.3 million acres. Within that, the landscape, the CFLRP landscape, is about 900,000 acres, covering 500,000 acres of National Forest System lands, highlighted in light green. Within that, there are NEPA project areas, Mill Creek Council Mountain, Middle Fork Weiser River, and then at the north, the Lost Creek Boulder Creek project. It consists of 5 watersheds: Boulder Creek at the north, Lost Creek, Upper Weiser River, the West Fork of the Weiser River, and then the lower West Fork of the Weiser River. The first stop is in the Boulder Creek watershed at the northern end of the project boundary. This watershed includes critical habitat for bull trout, a listed species, and because of that, this is the highest priority watershed in the project design for watershed restoration actions. Looking from the north to the south in Boulder Creek, this is an example of the current vegetative conditions. Restoration actions that would help move the watershed towards an improved condition are natural substrate culverts that would also improve fish passage, and a variety of road improvements. This example is just one of many, and the road improvement here would include graveling to reduce sedimentation delivery to Boulder Creek. Beyond Boulder Creek, the designated critical habitat covers much of the Payette National Forest, and because of that, the complaint raises this issue that the forest should have consulted after the habitat was designated to review the impact of that on the forest plan. Any decision by the court on that will extend or could extend far beyond the Payette. This is the critical habitat in the northwest, covering many of the CFLRP landscapes and other lands within the National Forest System. For tour stop 2, the discussion topic is the minimum road system, a requirement of every forest. This tends to be a very data-intensive, labor-intensive process, the travel analysis process, to recommend roads to keep and maintain or improve, and roads to decommission. We saw some examples in Boulder Creek dealing with watershed and bull trout habitat. At this stop, we'll see some examples in Lost Creek watershed, recommended by the coalition to be the highest priority for recreation-related improvements. Here is one site-specific example in the project area, a system road that's definitely in need of improvement. And the system road gets active use in the summer for recreation. Off of that system road are pioneer roads created by recreationists, and The roads in general are headed towards dispersed camping site along Lost Valley Reservoir. Here's an example, again, a site-specific example of an active camping area. The law enforcement officer for the Payette told us that on a busy weekend you could see 50 campsites in this 1/4 mile stretch, and here's a little zoomed in look at people with their camping and boat vehicles. The coalition decided that what was needed was a site plan for this area in order to appropriately manage the recreation. The issue and the complaint, however, is that the scale for the minimum road system analysis should be the entire forest, not the project, and there should be no variation by alternative. Now let's travel to tour stop number 3 to discuss vegetation management and fire regime. The desired condition for vegetation within the project area varies depending on the potential vegetation group. For the lower elevation ponderosa pine forest type, there are treatments that would reduce density. For example, from a previous project, here's a stand that now has a density of 17 to 28 trees per acre, and at pre-treatment it was as high as 220 trees per acre. In a nearby stand, a similar treatment produced these conditions. The treatment included a thinning and then burning, 2 burns in subsequent years. And adjacent to that stand is one that was burned but had no thinning operation within it. All 3 of these stands along the east side of Lost Valley Reservoir are within walking distance of each other and are part of an interpretive center that is addressing the management of another listed species, northern Idaho ground squirrel. The recovery plan, part of the recovery plan, is to produce these post-treatment conditions. Getting a broader landscape view in the adjacent watershed, Upper Weiser River, this is an area that was treated several years ago. And if we roll back the imagery to 2006, we can get a perspective on the pre-treatment and then the post-treatment condition. Let me try that once again, highlighting the 2006 condition, and then here's the 2015 condition. And I think a ground photo helps to get a better idea of what the remaining tree density is within that area. Even though the project area is dominated by lower severity fire regimes, the plaintiffs are concerned that the treatments will reduce the ecological benefits of higher intensity fires. As you can see in this map, the higher intensity fires are in orange and red and comprise a relatively small portion of the 80,000 acre project area. So the issue that they have raised in a rather creative way is that they feel that the forest failed to meet NEPA requirements because it lacks a cumulative effects analysis of the fire suppression policy across the entire forest, again a matter of scale. With those 3 tour stops in mind, let's debrief and make a few generalizations about trends. The Forest Service, through the Collaborative Forest Landscape Restoration Program, is trying to increase the scale of forest restoration. What we've seen from the complaint is that those organizations that question the validity are also changing scale. In all 3 tour stops, they're asking for an analysis or requesting that an analysis should be conducted at a forest scale instead of the project level. This is true for the bull trout habitat, the minimum road system, and the analysis of the cumulative effects of the current Forest Service fire suppression policy. Issues could impact not only the existing project in Lost Creek-Boulder Creek, but future projects within the CFLRP landscape on the Payette and projects on other national forests. Although this is frustrating, I think we need to all pay attention, and hopefully, based on the court proceedings, we don't need to walk away from the value and benefits of a disciplined approach at a project scale for implementing actions that will restore national forests.